All right, let's get into this. You know, when you think of Tainan, your mind probably jumps straight to street food, right? But what if I told you that one of its most famous snacks, the humble shrimp roll, isn't just, a delicious bite? It's actually a 200-year-old legend all wrapped up in history and fried to absolute golden perfection.
I mean, how is that even possible? Well, believe it or not, that's exactly what the Tainan shrimp roll does. It's like a culinary time capsule. So today, we're going to unroll that incredible story and find out just how this crispy little snack basically became the soul of an entire city.
So, to really get the shrimp roll, we have to travel back in time and meet its ancestor. Our story kicks off way, way back in the Ming-Zheng era with a group of people who crossed the sea from Fuzhou in mainland China. Yeah, these were soldiers and their families who followed the famous general Zhang Chenggong, and they were arriving in a totally new land. And like anyone who's ever moved far from home, they brought the tastes of home with them. Specifically, this really clever and comforting recipe that was born out of pure resourcefulness. Now, this was not some fancy banquet dish. Nope, it was super practical, just a smart way to use up whatever leftovers you had. Minced meat, little bits of vegetables, all bundled together. For these early immigrants, it was so much more than a meal. It was a taste of the home they'd left behind. But the real magic, it was in what held it all together. So what was this ancient culinary genius? The wrapper. Okay, this is not your everyday spring roll skin. It's called pig's caul fat. It's this delicate, lacy membrane that's just full of natural oils. When you fry it, it basically melts, basting the filling from the outside in, keeping everything incredibly moist, and creating this unbelievably crispy shell. It's like ancient food tech, a natural vacuum seal and a flavor enhancer all in one. Wild, right? So for a while, this meat roll was just a comforting, nostalgic dish, but its new home in Tainan set it on a collision course with destiny. The city was about to give this humble roll a golden upgrade that would literally change everything. And this big transformation, it wasn't sparked by a single chef in a kitchen. It was sparked by the sea itself. See, during the Japanese era, Amping Port just exploded. Fishing technology got way better, and all of a sudden the local markets were just flooded with an incredible amount of fresh seafood. You can just picture it, can't you? This total light bulb moment for Chainan's master chefs, the Zongpu. They're looking at these mountains of fresh local shrimp and thinking, wait a minute, why are we sticking with pork? That was it. That was the spark of innovation. They decided to swap the land for the sea. And in doing that, they gave the roll a brand new soul. But here's the secret weapon. They didn't just use any shrimp. Oh no, they used the local specialty, fire shrimp. Now these little guys, they're smaller, but they pack this incredible punch of natural sweetness. And their texture, it's firm and springy in a way that bigger prawns just aren't. This wasn't just a substitution, this was a massive, massive flavor upgrade. And so you see how it all comes together. It's this perfect storm. You've got the traditional Fuzhou wrapping technique, you've got this abundance of local seafood from Enping Port, and you have the genius of Tainan chefs bringing it all together. The Tainan shrimp roll wasn't just invented, it was born from this perfect marriage of immigrant history and local geography. But a great recipe needs great champions to become an icon, right? A dish can't just be delicious, it needs people to spread the word. This is where the master chefs step out of the kitchen and into the spotlight, turning the shrimp roll into a citywide obsession. Two legendary shops in particular really define the shrimp roll's modern story, and they took completely different roads to greatness. On one side you have Chow's, the innovator who built an empire, and on the other you've got Huang's, the traditionalist who just perfected that original flavor. So the story of Chow's starts with this well-known banquet chef, and he's just looking to make a little extra cash on his days off. He opens a small stall in Amping, sells a bunch of different snacks, but he starts to notice something. Customers kept coming back for one thing, and one thing only, his incredible shrimp rolls. And this was a huge moment. Chao Chen-kin realized he had a star on his hands, so he made this really bold move. He stopped selling everything else and went all in on perfecting the shrimp roll. By standardizing the recipe, creating a modern, clean shop, he turned a humble street food into a massive business. People even started calling it the Din Tai Fung of the South, and it became an absolute must-eat for any tourist visiting Tainan. Now, Huang's, on the other hand, is a totally different story, a story of persistence. Their recipe is said to be a direct descendant of that original fuzhou roll, but perfectly adapted to showcase the pure, simple sweetness of the fire shrimp. Their whole focus has always been on tradition and purity of flavor, not on getting bigger. And this dedication to authenticity is what built Huang's legacy. The shop actually moved 4 different times over the decades, but it didn't matter. Their flavor was so pure and so beloved that the real diehard fans would always track them down. And that incredible loyalty to tradition eventually earned them a Michelin Bib Gourmand recommendation, cementing their status as the guardians of that original taste. So, after this whole journey through history and geography and culinary genius, what are we really tasting when we bite into a Tainan shrimp roll today? That one bite, it's a time capsule, seriously. That crispy, savory wrapper that holds the ingenuity of Fuzhou settlers from centuries ago. That sweet, springy shrimp filling, that's a direct taste of the Anping Coast. And that perfect balance of flavor, that's the skill and innovation of generations of Tainan's master chefs. See, the Tainan shrimp roll isn't just a snack. It's the city's identity, made edible. It's this delicious fusion of immigrant history, maritime culture, and local craftsmanship. You're not just eating food, you're literally tasting the DNA of Tainan. And that really makes you think, doesn't it? Every single dish has a history, a journey it took to get to your plate. So the next time you eat something you absolutely love, just take a second and ask yourself, what story is hidden in my favorite food?